Mayor Jane Castor here with the 5:30 update. We still have not felt the brunt of Hurricane Ian. As you can see outside, and many of you have been outside and you have felt the wind gusts out there. We have a number of trees down. At the last count, TECO reported a little over 5,000 residents without electricity. They have pulled their crews off of the street because of the high wind gusts, as have a lot of the ambulance services. And so they're going to try to get those electricity restored to homes as quickly as they possibly can, but they're not going to go back out now. We are expecting that we are going to get the majority of the rain and the higher winds starting about 8 p.m. and they are going to last throughout the night. We are still expecting widespread flooding throughout our city, and anywhere from tropical storm wind speeds to the possibility of Category 1 hurricane wind speeds. So still damaging conditions that are out there. We're asking individuals to shelter in place right now. There's been somewhat of a lull, especially since the Hurricane Ian made landfall down in South Florida. So there may be the idea that we've been through the worst of it. It is yet to come for Tampa Bay. So we're asking everyone to shelter in place. The water has been pulled out of the bay. We've seen that before in past storms. And we had individuals that were going out on Bay Shore. Please don't do that. Shelter in place, stay away. These winds are blowing. Things are, debris is flying through the air. We were out earlier, went to one of our ERC sites out on East Columbus to visit some of our teams. And the palm fronds and tree limbs are all over, and that's in really the mildest winds that we could expect associated with a storm like this. So again, please shelter in place. We have yet to feel the direct effects of Hurricane Ian. So we will keep you posted, we will keep you protected, but we want you all to do your part as well and be responsible out there. Next, I will bring up our fire chief and emergency manager, Barbara Trent.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. As the mayor stated, we have not seen the worst yet. We want to make sure that everyone is safe. Make sure you shelter in place. You should not be out in the traffic, driving on the roads. We have had multiple fires that resulted from down power lines. As the mayor stated, some residents are without power at the moment. TECO is off the roads at the moment due to safety. We do have a number that you can call if you have an outage. The number is 1-877-588-1010, 1-877-588-1010. Now, when it talks about if you have a medical emergency as far as calling 911, you have to think about if the conditions are bad, the first responders would not be able to respond to you. If your power is out, you need to go to our website, tampa.gov/hurricane, to get the latest information on generator safety. You do not want to be exposed to carbon monoxide. Once again, tampa.gov/hurricane to get the latest information about operating generators. If you are using candles, that is against the rules, against the law. You definitely want to be careful. If you have a fire extinguisher, please make sure you have that at hand. There are a lot of danger that's affected with this storm and will take place. We want everyone to be safe, so please take care of yourself and take care of your family. Now we bring up Chief Burkhoff.
Good evening. Our officers are doing a tremendous job right now. They're out there evacuating homeless. Just in the last several hours, we've evacuated approximately 30 additional homeless to shelters. And as the mayor and Chief Tripp said, now's the time to shelter in place. And down power lines and down trees are very dangerous. We have a lot of our police officers out there, but if you don't see a police officer, that does not mean that it is safe. So please be extra careful. We've put on social media quite a bit about Bayshore, to stay off Bayshore. Don't be that guy to go out on Bayshore and put yourself in harm's way. That's the last thing we want, is to put our officers, our first responders, in jeopardy by trying to save somebody from doing something foolish. And those are our highlights. Thank you.
All right, anybody have any questions? We expect that it's going to continue to come throughout the night. I can't tell you time-wise when the worst of the flooding is going to occur, but we have already had ample rain, and once that water starts to come back into the bay and the rain builds up, we have been fortunate to be able to continue to empty out our stormwater retention ponds. And so we'll be able to take more rainwater than we anticipated with the original forecast. But we're still anticipating that we will see flooding, and it will be sometime in the next 24 hours.
Would you say that the next 12 hours will be the most dangerous for residents in the city?
I don't know that it would be the next 12 hours, but definitely the next 24 hours. We're going to see the continued rain. The rain will increase dramatically, and then that water is going to come back into the bay as the Hurricane Ian continues its northeasterly trajectory.
This is a question for the chiefs. Are police and EMS still responding to calls right now? I know we've talked about the last few days that they wouldn't go out on calls if it was wind speeds at 45 miles per hour. Is this higher?
Yes, currently we're still responding to medical and fire calls as well. The wind gusts have not reached the miles per hour that's in our policies. Once it reached that miles per hour, then of course all emergency personnel will be at a standstill.
Do you expect that to happen at some point?
Well, it all depends on what Mother Nature decides to do as far as the wind speeds.
You've mentioned shelter. This is, I guess, a question for everyone. You've mentioned shelter in place a couple of times. Is there any plans for an official curfew at this point?
No.
There may be some redundancy in this, but with so many people still wandering outside, can you guys explain in detail what a shelter in place entails?
Stay at home. You know, you definitely need to be inside some sort of shelter. Hopefully it's at your home and protected.
You know, I haven't seen the most recent rainfall projections, but I at one point it was anywhere from a foot to 2-3 feet of rain. When you see that, what kind of impact could that have if it still ends up being that much rain?
It's going to be a lot of impact. You know, floodings, we have to worry about vehicles getting flooded in the roads. We got to worry about buildings being flooded. I know a lot of families did get sandbags to assist, so we don't know what the damage is going to be and how much the rain is going to eventually fall, as well as when the surges come in.
And also with the storm surge, you know, when we went along with the original forecast for this, and we were talking anywhere from 10 to 15 foot surges, well, we've seen what that means when the hurricane hit down south. You saw that water come in, just rush in, that tidal surge. We don't expect to see that here, more of the gradual influx of the water, but it's still going to cause flooding in our area. And so, you know, sheltering in place means stay where you're at, wherever that's safe, and then hopefully if you're close to the water, that you'll have the ability to go up if necessary. But if we're talking 4 to 6 feet, then that's not going to be to the point that it's over anyone's home or up to the ceilings, like we've seen once again in the south. I think that we've all seen those videos, and they're pretty dramatic of the intensity with which Mother Nature hit the West Coast down south in Florida.
You mentioned that you called some of the mayors in Southwest Florida. Was that today, and what did they tell you?
Yes, I called, and, they just said that they were prepared. This isn't anything new, storm season, to anyone in the state of Florida, East or West Coast, or for that matter, Central Florida. So we are exercising, when I say we, all of the municipalities, the counties, the state, all in coordination, all in collaboration, to exercise our plans to make sure that we are prepared for the worst case scenarios. And that's what all of these mayors that I've spoken to have told me, that they are as prepared as they could possibly be. They didn't have the luxury that we had of having several days to put all of our plans in place, but they are responding, and I assured them that we would stand ready to assist in any way that we could.
We heard from some TECO representatives earlier today saying they'll be shutting down some equipment if necessary in order to protect it. Do we know if any of the outages are because of that?
No, they canceled that, and that really was for very, very specific locations that had some of the older power supplies. That was on the west side of Ashley, the Performing Arts Center, a couple of hotels, and then Davis Islands, Harbor Island. So it was very specific locations. They canceled that last night, and they never did it, and they're not going to. So the power outages are not a result of that.
Major, the city shelters still open?
Yes.
To what time they're going to open?
They're going to be open. They are all open. There's only one that is full. Do you remember the name? One of the schools that is full in the city, but the majority of those are open. And as Chief Tripp said, you can find that information on our website, tampa.gov/hurricanes. But those shelters, as we've said before, are a last resort. If anybody's considering going to them now, then it probably is the last resort. But we want people to shelter in place. Unless there's some type of an emergency, they should have already gone to a shelter if that's what they needed.
Do you have any idea how many people are using the shelters?
Yes, we have a count on all of those. It's several hundred at each of the schools that we have designated as shelters in the city. So there are a number of individuals, not only in the city of Tampa, but in Hillsborough County, that have availed themselves to the shelter facilities. And we're happy that they did that, and they did that very early on.
Mayor, I know you got a call from the president earlier, and you discussed this earlier, but folks who weren't watching, what did he tell you?
He told me that the White House and the United States and FEMA stand ready to provide us and any of the municipalities, counties that have been impacted by Hurricane Ian with whatever resources that they need. And when I spoke to him, the director of FEMA was actually sitting in his office. And so he, just an assurance that they had our backs.
Mayor, when did you call? I may have missed it. Did you call the Southwest Board of Mayors today or yesterday?
I think it was early this morning. Yes, early this morning. My days are running together, but it was early this morning. I did. I spoke to Governor DeSantis, and same, assured that the resources that we need are available and in place. And that, I think I've said several times, the state's emergency manager, the state has always been a great partner, very collaborative. So we've had this experience, unfortunately, in the state of Florida every single year. And so I feel that we are locally, regionally, and as a state and a country as prepared as we can be to deal with these storms as they come. All right.
Chief Tripp, can you specify about the candles? Are they a safety hazard during a hurricane, or are they really illegal?
They are a safety hazard. The candles are not illegal. They are a safety hazard. And basically, you definitely do not want to go to sleep with candles lit. That is definitely a safety hazard.